Title: The Price Paid in Silence. Linda was one of those women people noticed without trying. Tall, elegant, and strikingly beautiful, she turned heads wherever she went in Abuja. She was married to Bassey, a man who, for many years, lived the kind of life others admired from afar. They lived in a comfortable apartment in a good neighborhood, drove nice cars, and never worried about bills. Back then, Bassey was a successful businessman. Money flowed, and confidence followed. He treated Linda like a treasure. He paid the rent years ahead, settled electricity bills without blinking, bought her expensive clothes, and ensured she never lacked anything. Linda never had to work. Bassey believed his duty as a husband was to provide, protect, and please his wife. Linda loved him deeply, or at least, she believed she did. But life has a way of humbling people without warning. A series of bad investments, economic downturns, and betrayal from trusted partners slowly destroyed Bassey's business. Contracts dried up. Debts crept in quietly at first, then loudly. Savings vanished. The cars were sold, one after the other. Their lifestyle shrank, and shame followed Bassey everywhere he went. The man who once woke up confident now stared at the ceiling every night, wondering how to pay rent. Bills began to pile up: house rent, electricity, water, school fees for a niece they were supporting, and debts from friends and lenders. Landlords started calling. NEPA officials came knocking. Creditors sent messages that carried more threats than greetings. Linda watched all this unfold. At first, she encouraged her husband. She told him things would get better, that God would make a way. But as weeks turned into months, pressure mounted. She had never worked a day in her life. She had no skill, no experience, no savings of her own. Employers looked past her beauty and asked questions she had no answers to. Do you have experience? Can you start immediately? Can you handle pressure? Linda returned home discouraged each time. Bassey tried his best, but his best was no longer enough. The man who once gave now depended on hope, and hope alone could not pay rent. One evening, the landlord issued a final warning. Another night, electricity was disconnected. The house grew dark, both physically and emotionally. Linda lay awake beside her husband, listening to his heavy breathing and quiet sobs. For the first time, she felt fear, not fear of hunger alone, but fear of losing everything. Desperation began to whisper ideas she would never have considered before. A man she barely knew offered help. I can settle some bills, he said casually, his eyes saying more than his words. Linda refused at first. She cried, she prayed, she reminded herself she was married. But hunger is persuasive, fear is convincing, and shame silences conscience. She told herself it was just once. Just to clear the rent. Just to buy time for Bassey. That, once, opened a door she could not easily close. Soon, instead of paying cash, Linda paid in kind. Electricity bills, groceries, small debts. Her body became currency. She convinced herself she was sacrificing for love, that her intentions were pure even if her actions were wrong. But guilt followed her everywhere. She avoided Bassey's eyes. She flinched when he touched her. She prayed louder but felt emptier. Each time she left the house on an errand, her heart beat with fear that the truth would someday surface. And it did. Bassey discovered the secret through rumors and confirmations he never wanted. The realization shattered him, not because he hated Linda, but because he loved her deeply. The pain was unbearable. He felt betrayed, humiliated, and responsible all at once. When confronted, Linda broke down completely. She knelt before him, crying uncontrollably. I did it for us, she said. I didn't want us to be thrown out. I didn't know what else to do. Bassey said nothing for a long time. Silence filled the room like smoke. He realized his mistake too, building a marriage where his wife depended entirely on him, leaving her unprepared for hardship. Linda realized hers, choosing shortcuts that destroyed trust and dignity. Their love stood wounded, tested by poverty and poor choices. Whether their marriage survived depended not on love alone, but on forgiveness, accountability, and painful growth. Conclusion. What remained after the storm? For days after the truth came out, Bassey barely spoke. The house in Abuja felt heavier than ever, filled with words that had been said and many more that had not. Linda cried herself to sleep every night, unsure if she would wake up still married or completely alone. One evening, Bassey finally broke the silence. I failed you, he said quietly. I built our marriage on money instead of strength. I made you comfortable but not capable. Linda wept harder. And I failed us, she replied. I chose an easy road that destroyed your trust. I should have talked to you. I should have endured with you. They talked deep into the night, honest, painful conversations they had avoided for months. For the first time, they faced their reality together. No pretending, no pride, just truth. Bassey decided not to walk away immediately. Forgiveness, he knew, would be a process, not a moment. He insisted on boundaries, counseling from a trusted elder, and complete honesty going forward. Linda accepted everything without argument. She cut off every unhealthy connection and committed herself to rebuilding her life properly. Linda enrolled in a small skills program, tailoring at first, then online sales. It was humbling. The woman once admired for beauty alone now learned patience, discipline, and self-respect. Bassey, on his part, took any honest job he could find, swallowing his pride and starting again from scratch. Life did not suddenly become easy. Money was still tight. Trust took time to heal. Some days were filled with tears and regret. But slowly, respect returned. Not the shallow respect built on wealth, but the deep kind built on endurance. Their marriage never went back to what it was. It became something else, scarred, wiser, and more grounded. And that became their victory. Moral lessons. 1. True love is not proven in abundance, but in adversity. 2. Hard times do not destroy relationships. Poor choices during hard times do. 3. Sometimes, the true cost of survival is not money, but trust. Big question. If you were Bassey, would you forgive Linda? Please your answers in the comments section.